Hi, my name is Tori Haynes-Harrison. I am a recent alumna of the illustrious Coppin State University. I graduated in May 2024. Now I am a school teacher. I'm 22 years old and I'm from Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. What brought me to Coppin was really like when I was searching for schools, they had offered me a lot of aid and that made me do a lot more research about what they stood for and things like that. And I always knew that I wanted to do something in education. I want to be a principal. So when I saw that they started out as a teacher's college, that was really what drew me to Coppin. So as SGA vice president, I feel like what really inspired me to push for the Ramadan accommodations was because really like, I don't know, like there's something like innate in me. I'm like, if something is like not fair, I'm like, no, it needs to be fair, or we need to figure out how we can get it as close to fair as we can. Also, I have a lot of Muslim friends, like even both at home and at school. And I would see that like, especially during Ramadan, they would have to take food out of the caf or they would be eating earlier. They would always be like buying their own food. And I'm like, that's not fair because I'm in the caf, I'm eating. We pay a lot of money for it. So you should be able to eat how you want to and exactly when you want to. So I'm like, the fact that they have to heat up their meals is not ideal. So I would see it like progressively. I would watch my friend like all the time have to go out and buy food. And we would be like, what are we going to eat today? And I'm like, this is getting to be a lot, especially in college. You don't have that much money. So I pushed 1 year and it wasn't enough time. I didn't give like enough time to set up meetings and stuff. But the next year I was like, no, I'm going to like get on the ball. I really reached out to like our vice president of student affairs and like, we have to get this like running. So eventually what had happened was they had put out like a specialized menu and they offered for students who were practicing during the time, they were able to take out meals of the caf and then they will also receive an additional meal like for breakfast for the next morning. So I feel like that was definitely like a good accommodation for them. Of course, we were always looking to make things better. So maybe like 1 year we will get to the point where they're open extra hours. But I think for right now, a small win is what we'll take. Being chosen as like one of the HBCU House Scholars was like completely like a surprise to me because it was like, okay, I'm going to apply to this because I heard about it. But then like when I got it, I was like, oh, like what's going on? I feel like it was single-handedly like one of the best experiences of my life, like besides choosing Coppin. I met so many great people and like I would see like what the other scholars were doing at their schools and they were also in like leadership positions. They would either be like Mrs. or Misters or they would be also involved in SGA or even just the ones who were just regular like students just doing what they were doing on their day-to-day. It was like the impact that they would have. Like for example, I forgot exactly which HBCU it was, we were talking to them and they had talked about how they had got like MacBooks for all their students and things like that. So it's kind of like the things that you find elsewhere that you realize that you can come and like take back and implement at your own school. So I feel like that really had a like really big impact on my leadership because I was able to do that and I was able to grab ideas from them, especially about Ramadan. And then I was able to see them implement it here. So I would definitely say Ms. Campbell has made like a very significant impact on me. She's the director of student engagement, student experience, and she's over in Miles Connor. So Ms. Campbell, she especially like meets a lot of freshmen and things like that, especially when they're first coming in. And I feel like a lot of people will tend to like look over that interaction, but she is really somebody who I would recommend knowing for like all 4 years and even beyond. I feel like she's been very pivotal in my experience. We always talk constantly, like even past then. There's this one time that I was really sick and I didn't have my car. It was really hard to get around. And she had brought me medicine. She was offering to take me to the doctors. And I'm like, this is like exactly what I need, especially because I'm from out of state. And like my parents were worried. They're like, what are you going to do? Like, I'm like, I don't know. And Miss Campbell was always there, like no matter what I needed. I feel like the close-knit community is really like what you strive for when you come to a school. Like when like you're visiting schools and you're like, oh, well, everybody is like, well, you need to choose a school where like feels like home. Coppin is like the place that feels like home. From the friends that I've met here, from the staff, they've always been willing to help me like pass office hours if something's happening where I'm like, I'm always like sick. I'm always constantly sick. They've always been like super accepting and they've been like, okay, that's fine. And they would like help me figure out how I can kind of like change my program plan or help me out so that it would be like I was still making the grades that I would need and I was able to continue being involved. The close-knit community, I feel like, is really like what you make of it. So I feel like it's kind of like a thing where it's like you have to invest in order to get invested into. But I would definitely say like get involved as much as you can because that really helps you like push, especially for you to meet new people. Like even now from like the connections that I built at Coppin, everybody's always like, you know, everybody. That's because I'm always talking to somebody. I'm always getting involved in something. And one of the things that I'm like probably like the most proud of, especially like involving the close-knit community, is my friend, Melanie Morales. She's now SGA president and we were roommates. And I remember when she first came to Coppin, when I first met her, she was so nervous. She like wasn't involved in anything. So it was like we lived together, and then I started pulling her out into things. And I remember we were sitting in our room one day, and I was like, okay, like SGA elections. I was SGA vice president. I was like, you need to run for president. And she's like, no, I would never do anything like that. I'm like, girl, you need to run for president. Like, especially because it was like, she's like the same person as me, like in a different font. And now, like, after, like, me consistently bothering her, like, the constant coaching and things like that, she's now SGA SGA president, and she's doing, like, amazing things. So I'm very excited about that. I would definitely say that everything that I was involved in has made me the person that I am today. Again, like, it's truly, like, the people that you meet. Like, even from being women's basketball manager, like, Coach Woods, like, anything that I need, he is there for me. Like, the relationship that I made with the girls is, like, things that'll, like, these, like, relationships and things will carry into anything beyond college. Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated, I am a member of the Elegant Epsilon Kappa chapter. So the experiences that I gained from everything that I was involved in, I feel like it truly, like, builds on meeting people and, like, making connections that'll last a lifetime. So even from just being, like, women's basketball manager, I've made connections with the girls that I will have forever. And, like, Coach Woods is, like, my dad, literally, like, my dad. And then also being like a Fall 23 initiate of the Elegant Epsilon Kappa chapter, Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated. Like, I don't have any sisters. I don't have like any blood sisters. I have a twin brother. But like those girls, like literally like my sisters for life. I could go to them for anything and they would be willing and able to do everything for me. And I love that. Even being involved in like SGA as like Student Government Association Vice President and like HBCU White House Scholar. Again, like these are people that I will forever know. They've helped me get my job, like the job that I have today, like even in education. Also, be open to taking things that people are giving to you, but also remember and be willing to kind of like throw their name in rooms and things like that. So like relationships are like they're a give and then they're also a take. So like whatever relationship that you're cultivating, make sure that you're doing it well and like you're leaving people with like a really good image of you because you would never know who they know or who you know and who you're willing to tell them about. So yeah, I literally like spread myself thin in undergrad, but I feel like it forced me to be more organized. So like I have a checklist for everything. I would sit there, I would plan out my entire week, what I have to do then, like down to the minute. I'm like a super planned person, and that's definitely helped me in teaching because you always have to have a plan. So literally like planning so much in undergrad has definitely helped me in teaching. And even though it is my first year, of course, like things are still being worked out, but I like thank God for like all the routines and management styles that I put on myself in undergrad because I'm able to carry them into teaching, and I trust that it makes my job a little bit easier. An experience that I feel like really pushed me out of my comfort zone was I was working at the desk for like 2 years. Everybody knew me because I would always wear my mask. I was like so scared to get sick, and they'd be like, oh my gosh, there's that girl at the desk who always wears the mask. But basically like once I left the desk, I was like, okay, so what am I going to do now? Of course it was uncomfortable because I had done that for 2 years. That was like literally all I knew. I'm like, okay, I'm going to do my homework. I'm going to go to the desk. Like, that's how I'm making money. But literally, like, when I left the desk, I feel like that is when, like, my college experience is, like, propelled. So, like, after I left the desk, that's when I started running for SGA Vice President. That's when I joined the sorority. That's when I started putting in all my applications for HBCU White House Scholar. And it was, like, I felt like that was, like, the most fruitful season of my life. Even though the experience made me uncomfortable because it was something new and I'm not very good with change, that literally has like pushed my life, I feel, into the direction that it's going now. So I would definitely say like, don't be afraid to pivot, even if you have a plan for yourself and you think that that's how it's going to go. Or if you want to do things this way, but you realize you have to do them that way, I would definitely say like fall into the discomfort and take like any opportunity, especially if it feels right. My personal growth at Coppin has definitely forced me to be more vocal about the things that I need, like especially in teaching. Teaching is also something where it's like, you also need to give to get. So like if you don't buy into the experience, you're not going to be a very good teacher. Your kids are not really going to take away exactly what you want them to convey. Also like being around Coppin and then like putting on like, well, like being kind of like an advocate for the school has always made me have to be like energetic and things like that. Literally that's what I take into the classroom every day, and the kids feed into the energy. You can't go in front of them and be like, okay, we're going to go do this today, because then they're going to be like, well, this isn't any fun. This is boring. So I'd definitely say that like my personal growth and experiences at Coppin, as far as like being involved and speaking up about things that I need and things that I want and things that I would expect, has 100% helped me in first grade. Do it. Like, even though we are a smaller HBCU, sometimes people tend to look down on us and they'll be like, well, it's not this school or it's not that school. Like, I feel like we are like in the middle of the Holy Trinity. Like, we have Coppin right here. Morgan is right there. Towson is right there. Bowie is right there. So you can come to Coppin for a very affordable, and you can also still get the experience of going to other schools and bigger HBCUs. It's all about who you know. It's all about making those connections. Like, I have so many friends at other schools. Even though I went to Coppin, I would have the experience of like so many other campuses. I would say that, especially like as far as Coppin, they are like up and coming. Like, there have been so many things that have changed like since I've been here. Like, when I was here, okay, there were only 2 dorms. There was like no off-campus housing. Now, like in my last year, okay, now we had off-campus apartment housing. Now they're building a new dorm. Like, I would definitely say that like this school is on the come up, like even more than it was before. And they truly listen to you. Like, sometimes at bigger schools, I know I've talked to my friends and it's been like, where I pushed for this or like I said this, but it's like nothing has gotten done. But I can like single-handedly say like on so many different occasions that I've said something and they've definitely listened. They followed up. For example, like the Ramadan accommodations. We said we wanted this, that, and the third in the cap. Now we have wings every Thursday. There's fried chicken every Wednesday. There's fried fish every Friday. So I would say that like if you truly want to go somewhere where you know your voice is going to be heard, you know you can make an impact, and you know that you're still going to have a lot of fun, and you don't want to really come that much out of your pocket, I would say definitely choose Coppin. Like, there's no better choice. So my advice to future Eagles is your college experience is 100% what you make it. 100% what you make it. People will tell you, you'll hear things all the time, oh, well, this is boring here, or it's not here. If you don't pour into something, you're not going to get anything back. So like, and this is your time to make mistakes. Of course, you're spending money, things are being sacrificed, but you will never be like this young intern ever again. Do whatever you want to do, as long as you know that you're staying true to yourself, as long as you know that it's within your character to do so. If everybody's going somewhere you don't want to go, don't go. If everybody's telling you to do this and you don't want to do it, don't do it. If it is something where it's like, okay, well, I could or I couldn't, really like check in with yourself first, but stay true to your character, know who you are at the end of the day, and this is your time to make mistakes. Do all the crazy things you want to do, and you'll have like plenty of stories to tell your kids later. I chose teaching because of my kindergarten teacher, Miss Jones, Miss Phyllis Jones. I love her. Like, still to this day, we will go to lunch, we will go to dinner, and it's like the most insane thing in the world because she was my kindergarten teacher, and like over the years, like she was my Girl Scout troop leader, so we knew each other like well beyond that, and like to still be connected to her is like the most amazing thing that I could probably like have experienced in life. Like, she's like one of my favorite people, like easy. And I just remember the way that she would care for us in the classroom, and I'm like, that is something that I definitely want to give to my students, so that I try to give to my students, like, but obviously it's going to take some time. Like, she's like seasoned, and this is my first year, but no, like definitely Miss Jones 100% is why I want to teach. And then I feel like, especially like being African American, you truly need somebody who looks like you teaching things that are for you. And I would want to be that for somebody else, for especially like all the kids in my class. I would want to be that for them. And then teaching is kind of like, it really depends on the person. It really depends on their temperament. And sometimes it can get kind of frustrating. So as long as like, you know that you're willing to go the course, like don't give up on people because you wouldn't want somebody to give up on you. Really know what you're doing, why you're doing it, and then try to find that and like remember it in little moments. So I initially chose Coppin for the affordability, but the value that I gained from being here is the best thing in the world. Just from being involved in HBCU White House Scholar, SGA Vice President, AKA, and then the people that I've met, no amount of money I feel could top that or like could be enough to pour back into Coppin the way that they have poured into me. My name is Tori Haynes-Harrison. I'm class of 2024, and I chose the NEST for affordability. My name is Tori Haynes-Harrison, class of 2024, and I chose the NEST for the value. My name is Tori Haynes-Harrison, class of 2024, and I chose the NEST for the affordability, but the value that I gained here is priceless. My name is Tori Haynes-Harrison, class of 2024, and I chose the NEST for the affordability, but the value that I gained here is priceless. I am Tori Haynes-Harrison, a senior early childhood education major hailing from the city of brotherly love from the illustrious Coppin State University, and I serve as the HBCU White House Scholar, SGA Vice President, and a member of Alpha Kappa Alpha Sorority Incorporated.
Yep. Well
done.
done.
Thank you so much
Thank
for your
you.
participation.
So